Hi Maggie, and congrats on the 300 subs. I've been watching since April and really enjoyed watching your collection grow. Mine's still just that one cube. But I hope to have an actual intro soon. I just really wanted to get started with your contest entry, so... Oh, and in the background I'm playing, of course, Sigurus, Agus Björn. Starlfur was my favorite song for a long time because I like stars, obviously. The Ayaka star, my username. And then I found out that it means staring elf, which I know how you are when you look up the meaning of the song titles and are thinking, okay. Well, I thought being an elf was cool too, so I kept with that. Anyway, you wanted us to show good art, bad art as the first topic, and that one I really had some trouble with, but I found one thing. It's Shlomo Laid Out EP. I learned about this on Needle Drop. Okay, I had to stop for a second because pulling out that album, it got stuck and I forgot everything I was going to say. So anyway, this album has bad clip art cover, but the music is great. It has Don't Say No featuring How to Dress Well, the song Later, which has a cool voice loop, and Without is a good slow song on this one. I'd look up the review that Needle dropped it if you want to learn more about this, but it's really good and I've listened to it like a dozen times. And for good art, bad music, I chose Explosions in the Sky. All of a Sudden I Miss Everyone. And this also is related to Needle Drop because he has the tattoo of this. Now, I might get hate for saying this is bad music, but I was just really, really disappointed. I like The Earth Is Not a Cold, Dead Place. I think that's the name of it. I didn't want to stop and look, but this one, it's just same old, like, I got a little bored. There's an extra EP that I got with this, and it didn't help. So that's what I have for the good art, bad art part of the contest. So I'll move on to the movie part. Okay, movie part. The first movie I have to talk about is Dirty Dancing. I don't think it's going to count because I don't have the soundtrack or the movie, but I did save it on the DVR so I could watch it over and over. It was a guilty pleasure for a while, and on the last mix I made for my mom's yoga class, I put She's Like the Wind by Patrick Swayze on there because I always loved that song the most. Even though each time I see that scene, like my heart almost breaks when he's driving away. And then it's like a roller coaster ride in that movie, like when they're practicing dancing to Hungry Eyes and all that. And then he goes away, and then the iconic dance scene at the end with I've Had the Time of My Life. So I really like that. And you can quote me on this. I'm going to find that soundtrack and add it to my collection soon. Oh, and I also have something else Patrick Swayze related to show before I move on to the next part. I met him when I was probably like 7 or 8. Mom told me the story that on the radio it said he was going to do a charity event, and she didn't even think that it was open to the public, but she told my dad that we had to go no matter where it was. It was like in the middle of nowhere, some charity event for like, you know, the rich elite people of Houston. And so there he is on the horse. There he is again. I don't know who those people are. And I think that's him and his wife Lisa and some other people. So yeah, that's a pretty cool story, even though I'm not sure the exact year, but Mom said that it was soon after Dirty Dancing was made, and she was like obsessed with Patrick Swayze, so we had to go and see him. The next movie I have to talk about is Lost in Translation. I used to have the DVD as well, but Dad borrowed it one day and I've never seen it again, but I have the soundtrack, of course. Before I had the soundtrack, I wasn't sure that I even liked My Bloody Valentine, but I soon learned that I did. And I really liked the Air song, Alone in Kyoto, which got me into like electronica music that sounded Japanese in a way. Like I have a couple albums like that, but I didn't pull them out, unfortunately. So yeah, I could listen to this soundtrack like an album just fine. And next up is Tony Takatani, which is kind of an artsy film based on a Haruki Murakami novel. Or not a novel, but a short story. And the reason that I think about music when I think about this movie is that the father is a jazz musician, and they show him a lot at the beginning of the movie. And then when him and his wife go to the jazz club, they talk about, like, why does my dad's performance sound different than usual? And he's, like, just really confused and everything. And then he tells his wife to stop shopping. So I found that kind of, like, amusing in a way. Like, you're spending too much money. I'm putting my foot down now because everything's, like, different, you know. So then they show a breaking glass and it's all dramatic, slow motion. And despite, beyond just the jazz musician part, they also have a score by Ryuichi Sakamoto. And I actually have a CD and live DVD set for his album Insen with Elva Noto, which is kind of like an electronica piano like collaboration, and that's really good. So I was glad that I got into that from seeing this movie. I think you might like it, Maggie, because they do show the jazz records that he inherits from his father when his father dies, but you probably would hate that he sells them all. And he's shown burning papers, like he wants to get rid of everything, so that part's kind of sad. This movie, as my aunt described it, is really depressing, but to me there were a lot of funny parts, and because I'm an introvert, I really felt for, like, Tony and his loneliness, and he'd eat alone, he'd work alone. And so when he got married, it was like things were different for a while. And just, I just related to that. The last movie I have to show is Norwegian Wood, which is another movie based on a Haruki Murakami novel. If you couldn't tell, I'm a huge fan, and I've probably read almost every book except for, like, the one about him and music, which I should read. I don't know why I didn't. well, Norwegian Wood is of course taken from the Beatles song, and actually it could go with the songs that make you stop, at least for the character, because when he hears that song, he remembers his past, and that's the whole point of the movie. And the song's really, really moving when you hear it in the movie, the way they're playing it on the acoustic guitar, and then she runs out and she has a nervous breakdown. That part is like the most chilling part of the movie. So if you can find this and see it, I would highly suggest it. I think they've played it on the Sundance Channel, and I bought this on Amazon, so it's probably easy to find. Oh, and for the record, this was the first Beatles song I heard besides the hits, because I was always into pop and rap, like the stuff that was out from the 80s and onward, so I wasn't that knowledgeable about the Beatles. Maybe that's embarrassing to say, but at least now I feel that if I do collect any Beatles, I would definitely get Rubber Soul so I could have this song on vinyl. Okay, and for the last part, you asked us to talk about songs that make us stop and listen. Well, I had a lot in mind for this, but I settled on Red House Painters, Grace Cathedral Park. I don't know what it is about this song, but it makes me think of like the frustrations I've had with friends who didn't understand my anxiety, and they would say like, oh, why are you like that, you know? And so Grace Cathedral Park has a bit at the end that says, save me from my sickness and tell me, why do you treat me like this? Well, I used to like scream out the lyrics to this song when I would get frustrated when friends would either lecture me or not want to talk to me for a while. So, oh yeah, and it's playing right now, so. Another song by Red House Painters I almost decided on was Medicine Bottle, which says to stop living life in the bedroom and give me a smile and I promise not to leave you. Well, that type of attitude is what I would deal with like in my early 20s, dealing with people I liked or whatever. They just would give like ultimatums like, you must be like this, or if you're not like this, then I don't want to deal with it or whatever. So yeah, besides Red House Painters, I almost chose Carissa's Weird, which also gives me that same feeling of like angst and, you know, like writing poetry. Like I would sit there and I'd write poetry back then, so The Color That Your Eyes Changed with the Color of Your Hair is my favorite Carissa's Weird song. And I think one of the members from Carissa's Weird moved on to Band of Horses, and I could have sworn you showed one of those albums. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong, but yeah, the whole Seattle scene in the early 00s. I actually had to send money in an envelope to get this CD. And it's really good, except for there are some like, you know, like long songs that aren't as good, but that one you should seek out. So anyway, I hope this entry is good enough for your contest. I actually got a pep talk from the VC on how I should just, you know, throw caution to the wind, just get it out there, finish it, and I really hope that you have a happy birthday or had a happy birthday. I really enjoyed seeing your new stereo and receiver, that surprise video. I really enjoyed seeing that. So anyway, take care, and I hope to make an actual intro soon, so stay tuned for that. Bye.